She was Atlanta's most successful matchmaker. She'd created love stories for hundreds of couples. But tonight, standing in that glittering ballroom with her ex-boyfriend watching, Naomi Wright was about to make a decision that would either save her reputation or destroy everything she'd spent years building. A stranger's hand was warm against her waist. His lips were dangerously close to hers, and the entire room had fallen silent. "Follow my lead," he murmured, his voice like velvet. She had 20 seconds to choose. 20 seconds before her whole world shifted on its axis. Hours earlier, the ballroom at the Ritz-Carlton Buckhead had been transformed into something out of a fairy tale. Crystal chandeliers cast dancing light across cream-colored walls, white orchids climbed golden pillars, and champagne flowed like water. Naomi Wright stood near the entrance in an emerald dress that hugged her curves, her dark skin glowing against the silk fabric, her natural curls swept into an elegant updo. She checked her phone again. Still nothing. Marcus from Elite Escorts was supposed to have arrived 15 minutes ago. "He'll be here," she whispered, though her stomach was twisting itself into knots. All around her, couples she'd matched swayed on the dance floor, their happiness a testament to her skill. Jennifer and David Martinez were cutting their cake, feeding each other with the kind of joy that made Naomi's heart squeeze. She'd built an empire on creating these moments for others, yet she stood alone. Again. "Naomi Wright." The voice cut through the music like a knife. She turned, forcing her expression into something neutral. Derek Collins stood before her in a perfectly tailored tuxedo, his smile cold and calculating. Her ex-boyfriend. The best man. The entire reason she'd hired someone to accompany her tonight. "Derek," she replied, keeping her voice level. "Lovely ceremony. Where's this mystery date of yours?" He moved closer, his cologne overpowering. "I heard you were bringing someone special." His date, a woman with auburn hair and too much confidence, laughed softly behind him. "He's on his way," Naomi said smoothly. "Atlanta traffic, you know how it is." "Come on, Naomi." Derek's laugh carried across the room, drawing attention. "We both know you're solo." Again. Heat crept up her neck, but she refused to look away. "Actually, I don't think you know anything about my life anymore. You want to know what I've been telling people?" Derek leaned in, his breath reeking of whiskey. "That you can match everyone else with their soulmate, but you can't find your own. The lonely matchmaker." It's almost poetic. Guests were turning now, whispers spreading. Jennifer Martinez caught her eye from across the room, concern written across her face. Naomi's phone vibrated. She glanced down and felt the floor drop from beneath her feet. "Marcus, Elite Escorts. Emergency. Car accident, minor injuries, but can't make it. Full refund processing. Sending sincere apologies." "No. Not now. Not tonight." Derek was still talking, his voice loud enough for half the ballroom to hear. "I told everyone she'd show up alone. The matchmaker who can't even keep a man interested long enough for one wedding. Sorry I'm late, beautiful." The voice came from behind her, deep and rich with a Korean accent that wrapped around each word like silk. Before Naomi could process what was happening, a hand settled against the small of her back, warm and possessive and entirely unexpected. She turned and forgot how to breathe. The man standing there was stunning. Tall, easily 6'3", with sharp cheekbones and full lips, his black hair perfectly styled, his dark eyes fixed on her with an intensity that made her knees weak. He wore his tuxedo like armor, every line immaculate. "Traffic was a nightmare," he said, his gaze never leaving hers. "I hope you weren't worried." Naomi's mind went blank. She had no idea who this man was. But his hand pressed gently against her back, a silent plea. "Trust me." "I'm just glad you made it," she heard herself say. The stranger smiled, then extended his free hand to Derek. "You must be Derek Collins. Naomi's mentioned you." Derek's expression flickered between confusion and suspicion. "Have we met?" Jihoon Kang. The stranger's handshake looked firm enough to be painful. Naomi's boyfriend. The word landed like a bomb. Derek's date whispered something that sounded like, "Oh my God," and Naomi felt the attention of the entire room shift toward them. Derek recovered quickly, his smile turning predatory. "That's interesting. Naomi never mentioned she was seeing anyone. We keep our private life private." Jihoon's hand slid from Naomi's back to her waist, pulling her against his side. She doesn't believe in mixing business with pleasure. Something about maintaining professional boundaries. He said it like they'd discussed it 100 times, like he knew her thoughts before she spoke them. Naomi's pulse hammered in her throat. "How long have you two been together?" Derek demanded. 7 months, Jihoon answered without hesitation, though honestly, it feels like I've known her my entire life. When something's right, you just know. He looked down at Naomi, and the warmth in his eyes was so convincing that for a moment she forgot they'd never met before. "Isn't that what you always say, love?" Naomi managed a nod, not trusting her voice. Derek's jaw clenched. "What line of work are you in, Jihoon?" "Import and export. International trade, mostly." Jihoon's tone was casual, but something flickered behind his eyes. "Nothing as interesting as what Naomi does. Do you know she's matched over 200 couples? Including tonight's bride and groom." He said it loud enough for the nearby guests to hear. People smiled, some nodding in recognition. "She's remarkable," Jihoon continued, his thumb drawing slow circles on Naomi's hip through the silk of her dress. "Brilliant, beautiful, the kind of woman who sees people's potential and brings it to life. I'm lucky she chose me." The words Naomi had wanted Derek to say 3 years ago, when they were still together, now falling from a stranger's lips. Derek's face flushed red. "Well, I should get back to my date. One more thing." Jihoon's voice dropped, quiet but dangerous enough that Derek froze. "Naomi mentioned you've been spreading rumors about her. That she's undateable, that she can't maintain a relationship." The air went cold. "Let me make something clear," Jihoon said, his smile not reaching his eyes. "The only person who couldn't recognize Naomi's value was you, and that speaks volumes about your character, not hers." The silence that followed was sharp enough to draw blood. Then Jihoon turned away, dismissing Derek completely. "Dance with me?" he asked Naomi softly. She nodded because she couldn't form words. Jihoon led her onto the dance floor, his hands settling on her waist with practiced ease, hers trembling slightly as they found his shoulders. They moved together like they'd done this before, like their bodies already knew the rhythm. "Who are you?" Naomi finally whispered. "Your appointment," Jihoon said simply. "Your matchmaking service sent me." Naomi blinked. "I didn't book anyone through my service. I hired someone from Elite Escorts." Something shifted in Jihoon's expression. "I don't know what Elite Escorts is. My aunt operates a traditional Korean matchmaking service. She told me I had an appointment tonight with Atlanta's premier matchmaker, Naomi Wright." "Oh God," Naomi breathed. "There's been a mix-up." "Apparently." Jihoon's lips curved into a smile. "But you looked like you needed help, and I didn't appreciate the way that man was speaking to you." The music swelled around them. Naomi knew she should step back, apologize, explain the confusion. But Jihoon was looking at her like she was the only woman in the world, and when the song ended, when they stopped moving, Naomi did something completely out of character. She kissed him, rose up on her toes, and pressed her lips to his. It was meant to be gratitude, a silent thank you for the rescue. But when Jihoon kissed her back, it became something else entirely. His hand cupped the back of her neck, his mouth moving against hers with skill that made her forget they had an audience. When they finally pulled apart, Naomi was breathless. "Thank you," she whispered. Jihoon's eyes were dark with something that looked like hunger. "You're welcome. Before we go any further, can I ask you something? Where in the world are you watching from?" Drop a comment below because we love knowing how far these stories reach, and make sure to hit that subscribe button for more incredible tales. I really appreciate it. Alright, thank you. Now, let's get back to the story. Later, in Jihoon's car, a sleek black Genesis that purred like a satisfied cat, Naomi sat in leather seats that smelled like expensive cologne and mystery. Jihoon settled beside her, close enough that she could feel his warmth. "Where should I take you?" he asked. "Midtown. 10th and Peachtree." Naomi's hands twisted in her lap. "I need to explain what happened. My aunt has been trying to marry me off for 3 years," Jihoon said, amusement coloring his tone. "She runs a very traditional Korean matchmaking service in Seoul. When she told me I had an appointment with Atlanta's most successful matchmaker, I assumed she'd arranged another introduction without consulting me first." "I'm so sorry," Naomi said, heat flooding her cheeks. "I thought you were from Elite Escorts. It's a service where you can hire professional dates for events and social functions." "Clever," Jihoon said, and he didn't sound offended. "Though I have to ask, why would you need to hire someone?" Naomi looked out the window at Atlanta's glittering downtown skyline. "Derek. My ex. He's been telling everyone I'm undateable, that I'm a fraud who can't practice what she preaches. Tonight was supposed to prove him wrong. By hiring someone? By showing up with someone impressive enough that people would stop whispering behind my back." The admission tasted bitter on her tongue. Jihoon was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "What if we helped each other?" Naomi turned to face him. "What do you mean?" "My family is desperate for me to settle down. Your ex is destroying your reputation. What if we continued this arrangement?" "You want a fake date?" Jihoon's expression grew serious. "For a few months. Until my family stops the matchmaking attempts and your reputation is restored. We could create clear boundaries, treat it like a business arrangement." "That's insane," Naomi said, but her laugh came out shaky. "Is it?" Jihoon tilted his head. "You build relationships for a living. This would just be a professional arrangement with defined parameters. I don't even know you." "Then we'll get to know each other," Jihoon said, his smile dangerous. "Unless you'd prefer to let Derek continue spreading lies about you." Naomi's jaw tightened. 3 months, Jihoon offered. "A few family dinners, some public appearances, make it look authentic. Then we part ways amicably." "Why would you do this for me?" Jihoon held her gaze. "Because Derek was wrong about you. You're extraordinary. And someone should tell you that every single day." The car stopped outside Naomi's building. Jihoon pulled out a business card, heavy cardstock with minimalist design, just a phone number. "Think about it," he said quietly. "Call me when you decide." Naomi took the card, her fingers trembling slightly. She climbed out, rode the elevator to her apartment, and sat in the dark on her couch for an hour. A fake relationship with a stranger. It was absurd, unprofessional, potentially disastrous. Her phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. For what it's worth, that kiss didn't feel fake to me. Naomi stared at the message, her heart racing. Then she typed back, "When do we start?" They met 2 days later at a restaurant in Brookhaven, the kind of place with imported wine and dishes that were more art than food. Jihoon ordered in Korean, his voice confident and fluid, then turned to Naomi with a smile. "I hope you enjoy Korean fusion." "Love it," Naomi said, pulling out her tablet. "I drafted a contract." Jihoon's eyebrows rose. "A contract?" "I'm a professional," Naomi said, opening the document. "If we're doing this, we need clear boundaries and expectations." "I'm listening." Naomi read from the screen. "Duration, 3 months starting today. Public appearances as needed, with 24 hours notice when possible. Physical contact, hand-holding, casual touching, light kissing acceptable for public perception. Private boundaries, separate residences, no intimate contact beyond what's necessary for appearances." Jihoon leaned back in his chair, studying her. "You've thought this through carefully." "I build lasting relationships," Naomi said. "This is different. This is business." "What about expenses?" "Split equally for any dates or events." "I disagree," Jihoon said. Naomi blinked. "Excuse me?" If we're engaged, and we will be, my mother will expect a ring within 3 weeks. She's traditional. She'll want to meet your family. She'll start planning a wedding. Naomi's stomach dropped. Engaged? I thought we were just dating. That's why I'm telling you now, Jihoon said, his expression softening. I'll manage my family's expectations, but you need to understand the depth of what we're committing to. This won't be a few casual dinners. What exactly does your family do? Naomi asked slowly. Import and export, like I mentioned. That's vague. It's intentionally vague, Jihoon said, holding her gaze. My family has business interests that require discretion. But I promise you'll be safe with me. A waiter appeared with their appetizers, elaborate plates of food that looked too beautiful to eat. When he left, Naomi said quietly, "Are you involved in something illegal?" Jihoon's silence answered the question. "I should leave right now," Naomi whispered. "You should," Jihoon agreed, not looking away. "But you won't, because Derek isn't just spreading rumors, is he? He's actively sabotaging your business." Naomi went cold. "How did you know that?" "I have resources," Jihoon said. "Derek's been contacting your clients directly, suggesting that your matches are fabricated, that you're mentally unstable. He's been doing it for 4 months." The room tilted. "Why would he do that?" "Because you're thriving without him. Because he's failing in his own ventures. Because small, insecure men try to tear down what they can't possess." Jihoon leaned forward. "But here's what he doesn't realize. You have something valuable to offer." "What?" "An alliance," Jihoon said, his smile sharp. "Stay with me, and Derek won't be able to touch you or your business again." Naomi's hands shook. "What are you really?" "Someone who keeps his word," Jihoon said, his gaze intense. 3 months, Naomi. Help me satisfy my family's expectations. Let me handle Derek. When it's over, we part ways cleanly. And if I refuse? Then you fight Derek alone, and we both know how that story ends." Naomi looked at the contract on her screen. Then she looked at Jihoon, this dangerous, beautiful stranger offering her a devil's bargain wrapped in silk. She closed the tablet. "Tell me where to sign." For days later, Jihoon's family home sat in Ansley Park, a massive estate hidden behind stone walls and elaborate gardens. Naomi's palms were sweating as they walked up the curved driveway. "Breathe," Jihoon murmured, his hand steady on her back. "My mother will adore you." "How can you be sure?" "Because you're intelligent, successful, and you don't let me get away with anything." He smiled. "Everything she's been praying for." The front door opened before they reached it. A woman in her 60s stood framed in the doorway, elegant in a traditional hanbok, her silver hair styled perfectly, her eyes sharp and assessing. "Yama," Jihoon said softly. "This is Naomi Wright." Naomi bowed, grateful for the research she'd done on Korean etiquette. "It's an honor to meet you, Mrs. Kang." Mrs. Kang studied her for what felt like an eternity. Then she smiled. "You're more beautiful than the photos. Come inside." The interior was breathtaking. Traditional Korean art mixed seamlessly with modern design, everything expensive and carefully curated. They ate dinner at a low table, bulgogi and kimchi and banchan dishes Naomi had never tried but immediately loved. Mrs. Kang asked questions in rapid Korean. Jihoon answered patiently, his tone respectful. Finally, Mrs. Kang switched to English. "My son says you're a matchmaker." "Yes, ma'am. I've been building my business for 6 years." "And how many successful matches?" 217, Naomi said, meeting her gaze directly. 16 are here in Atlanta. "I believe in creating sustainable connections, not just attraction but true compatibility." Mrs. Kang's expression softened. "You understand the importance of commitment." "I do," Naomi said. "It's the foundation of everything I do." "Good." Mrs. Kang set down her chopsticks with precision. "My son has never brought a woman to this house. Not once. Do you understand what that means?" Naomi's throat tightened. "I think so. It means he's chosen you." Mrs. Kang looked at Jihoon, her eyes suddenly tender. Your father would have approved of her. Jihoon's hand found Naomi's under the table, squeezed gently. I know, he said quietly. After dinner, Mrs. Kang pulled Naomi aside into the garden, where lanterns cast soft light across perfectly manicured paths. He's not an easy man to love, Mrs. Kang said bluntly. His business is complicated, sometimes dangerous. But he has a good heart beneath all that armor. I'm learning that, Naomi said carefully. Are you? Mrs. Kang's gaze was penetrating. Or are you here because he's handsome and wealthy and can solve your problems? Naomi almost lied. But something in Mrs. Kang's expression demanded truth. I'm here, Naomi said slowly, because your son makes me feel valued. Like I'm more than just what I can do for others. I haven't felt that way in years. It was supposed to be part of the performance. But as the words left her mouth, Naomi realized they were true. Mrs. Kang smiled, and this time it reached her eyes. Then you're exactly what my son needs. For weeks into their arrangement, Naomi realized she'd made a catastrophic mistake. Not because Jihoon was dangerous, though he was, but because she was falling in love with him. It started small. The way he remembered she took her coffee with almond milk and honey. The way he appeared at her office with Thai food when she was too buried in work to eat. The way he listened, truly listened, when she talked about her dreams, her fears, the things that kept her awake at 3 in the morning. They had rules. Separate apartments, no real intimacy, strictly business. But Jihoon kept breaking them in small ways. Texting her good morning every day. Calling just to hear her voice. Showing up at her door with takeout and her favorite wine because he knew she'd had a difficult client meeting. We need to stop this, Naomi said one evening, curled up on his couch while some action movie played that neither of them was watching. Stop what? Jihoon's arm was around her shoulders, his fingers tracing lazy patterns on her arm. Pretending this is just a business arrangement. Jihoon went still. Naomi. This isn't fake anymore, is it? She asked quietly. He didn't answer. Naomi sat up, turning to face him. We had a deal. 3 months, then we walk away clean. I know what we agreed to. Then why does it feel like you're trying to make this real? Because I am, Jihoon said, his voice rough. I can't help it. The confession hung between them like smoke. You can't, Naomi whispered. This was supposed to be temporary. Safe. Nothing about you is safe, Jihoon said, his dark eyes intense. You stumbled into my life by accident and turned everything upside down. I can't pretend anymore. Jihoon. He kissed her. Not the careful, performative kisses they'd shared for cameras and crowds. This was raw and desperate and achingly real. When they broke apart, Jihoon pressed his forehead against hers. Tell me you don't feel this too. Naomi couldn't. Because she did. God help her, she did. Derek showed up at Jihoon's office on a Wednesday morning. Jihoon was reviewing shipping manifests when his assistant buzzed through. Sir, there's a Derek Collins here. He doesn't have an appointment. Jihoon's blood went cold. Send him in. Derek walked in like he owned the building. Expensive suit, manufactured confidence, the smile of a man who'd never faced real consequences. Mr. Kang, Derek said, extending his hand. Thanks for making time. Jihoon didn't shake it. What do you want? I think we started off badly at that wedding, Derek said, sitting down without invitation. I wanted to clear the air. Maybe discuss some business opportunities. I'm not interested. I heard you're looking for legitimate investment opportunities, Derek continued. Real estate. I have several properties that might interest you. I know exactly which properties you have, Jihoon said, his voice cold. And I know how you acquired them. Derek went pale. You've been laundering money through fake wedding vendor accounts for 4 years, Jihoon continued. Using Naomi's clients, exploiting her business, destroying her reputation to cover your tracks. I don't know what you're talking about. You owe my organization $3 million, Jihoon said calmly. Money you stole. Money you thought no one would notice because you buried it in catering deposits and venue fees. Derek's hands trembled. I can explain. I don't want explanations, Jihoon said. I want my money. 30 days. Liquidate your assets, or I provide evidence of your operation to the FBI. You're bluffing. Am I? Jihoon opened his laptop, turned it toward Derek. Bank records, transaction histories, everything. Derek looked at the screen and lost all color in his face. 30 days, Jihoon repeated. And Derek, if you ever speak to Naomi again, if you even think about her, I'll make sure you don't just lose your money. You'll lose your freedom. Derek stumbled toward the door. Then he stopped, turned back. She's using you, he spat. Naomi. This whole relationship is fake. She hired someone to play her boyfriend. Did she tell you that? Jihoon's expression didn't change. I know. What? I was the one she tried to hire, Jihoon said quietly. The one who showed up at the wedding. Yes, it started as a performance. He stood slowly, walked around the desk until he was inches from Derek. But you want to know the difference between us? I recognized Naomi's worth immediately. You never did. That's why she'll never look at you again, and why she looks at me the way she does. Now get out of my building, Jihoon said softly. Derek left. But Jihoon could see it in his eyes. This wasn't finished. The article went live 5 days later. Atlanta Matchmaker's engagement exposed as elaborate hoax, the headline screamed. Sources confirm Naomi Wright hired professional escort to pose as boyfriend at society wedding. Questions raised about business ethics and credibility. Naomi saw it during her morning routine, coffee halfway to her lips. Her phone started exploding. Clients, colleagues, reporters, everyone asking if it was true. By noon, 5 couples had canceled their contracts. By evening, a news van was parked outside her office. Naomi sat at her desk, watching her entire career disintegrate in real time. Her phone buzzed. Jihoon. Where are you? My office. Don't come here. The media's everywhere. I'm already downstairs. Naomi's heart lurched. She looked out the window and saw him emerging from his Genesis, walking toward the building with the kind of confidence that made people step aside. Reporters swarmed immediately. Mr. Kang, is it true your engagement to Naomi Wright is fake? Did you know she hired an escort? Is this a publicity stunt? Jihoon stopped, turned to face the cameras. No, Naomi breathed, running for the stairs. She flew down 4 flights, burst through the lobby doors just as Jihoon started speaking. Naomi Wright hired what she believed was a professional escort for a wedding, Jihoon said clearly to the assembled press. She didn't know the service made an error. She didn't know the man who arrived, me, wasn't actually from the escort company. Cameras flashed like lightning. I approached her under false pretenses, Jihoon continued. My family had arranged for me to meet her through a matchmaking service. Neither of us knew about the mix-up. The engagement began as a misunderstanding. Naomi stopped at the edge of the crowd, unable to move. But somewhere between that first night and today, Jihoon said, something changed. He turned, found Naomi in the crowd. Their eyes locked. I fell in love with her, Jihoon said. Completely. Terrifyingly. The kind of love that makes you want to build something legitimate, to be worthy of the person standing before you. Naomi's vision blurred with tears. I've built my life on control and calculated decisions, Jihoon said, still holding her gaze. But loving Naomi, that's the most uncontrolled thing I've ever done. She teaches people that real love requires honesty, vulnerability, and choosing someone every single day. His voice softened. Naomi Wright, I choose you. Not because of any arrangement. Not because my family expects it. Because I can't imagine my world without you in it. He pulled a small velvet box from his pocket. Opened it. A diamond caught the afternoon sunlight. A single stone, simple and perfect and real. No contract this time, Jihoon said. No terms, no arrangement. Just a question. He dropped to one knee. The crowd gasped collectively. Naomi Wright, Jihoon said quietly. Will you marry me? For real this time. Naomi's hands covered her mouth. Tears streamed down her face, and she didn't care who saw. Every rational thought in her brain screamed that this was too fast, too public, too complicated. But her heart knew the truth. She'd fallen in love with him weeks ago, somewhere between the fake smiles and the real conversations, between the performance and the person underneath. Yes, she whispered. Then louder, yes. She closed the distance between them, her heels clicking on the pavement. Yes, 1,000 times yes. Jihoon slid the ring onto her finger, and then he kissed her like they were alone in the universe. The crowd erupted in applause, cameras flashing like stars, and Naomi realized that sometimes the most authentic love stories begin with pretense. The FBI arrested Derek Collins 3 days later. Jihoon had been cooperating with federal authorities for 6 months, providing documentation, evidence, testimony. Derek wasn't just laundering money through wedding vendors. He was running a comprehensive fraud operation. And Jihoon had given the FBI everything they needed to dismantle it completely. Why didn't you tell me? Naomi asked that night, curled against him on his couch. Because I needed you safe, Jihoon said, his fingers tracing patterns on her shoulder. If Derek suspected I was working with authorities, he might have targeted you directly. You were protecting me. I'll always protect you, Jihoon said, kissing her forehead. Even when you don't realize you need protecting. Naomi's business recovered gradually. Some clients returned, apologizing for their doubt. New clients reached out, wanting the matchmaker whose own love story had gone viral. And through everything, Jihoon was there, supporting her, believing in her, loving her with an intensity that still stole her breath. 6 months later, they got married. Not a performance, not an arrangement. Real vows, real promises, real love. Mrs. Kang cried during the ceremony. Naomi's mother cried harder. And when Jihoon kissed his bride, when Naomi kissed her husband, it felt like coming home. Some love stories are carefully planned. Some are expertly matched. Some are methodically constructed. And some show up at the wrong event, at the perfect moment, and change absolutely everything. This is the story of a matchmaker who hired a fake boyfriend and discovered her real soulmate. Thank you for watching until the very end. If this story moved you, inspired you, or took you somewhere unexpected, don't leave without hitting that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on those notifications so you never miss what's coming next. Make sure to drop a comment telling us where in the world you're watching from. We're building a global family of story lovers here, and your voice matters. See you in the next one. Have an amazing day.